Okay, looks like we've got a pretty good crew here now. So I will get into it. All right, 1 second here. Cool. All right, welcome everybody. My name is Kai Johnson. I am the director of Ingenuity here. Happy to be here, happy to have everyone here tonight. I think we all know the drill at this point. I'll talk for about 15 or 20 minutes, and then we'll have time for questions and answers at the end. Feel free to type your questions into the box down below at any point. So you can use the little Q&A box, you can use the chat box as well. You don't have to wait until the end, so if a question pops up in your mind during the presentation, feel free to type it in below. And then again, this is being recorded. So if you do have to hop out at any point, that's okay. I'll send the recording hopefully tomorrow once we get it processed and uploaded. So you'll have access to that after the fact as well. So again, welcome. I'm really excited to talk about Ingenuity Year. We are sort of brand new gap year programming that has been created by Foreman School, sort of an initiative of Foreman. So starting off here, we'll talk a little bit about some of our background, some of the context that we bring into our programming, starting first with Foreman School for anybody who may not be familiar. So Foreman is a co-ed boarding school based in Connecticut. It was founded in 1930, so just over 90 years ago. And from the very beginning, it's been focused on students with learning differences. So this is really our expertise, this is our history, this is what we've been doing our entire history of the organization of the school. Einstein, pictured here, was actually one of the original board members, which is really cool and also quite relevant. It's likely that Einstein was dyslexic. So this is one side of the contextual background that we bring into our programming. This is the learning difference background side of things. The other side of that coin, oh, sorry, just kidding. I'm going to show you a really quick video here that speaks a little bit to the ethos of Foreman as a school and its approach to education. So I'll do that right now. Let me just turn off my headphones so you can hear all the sound.
Brings awareness to the greater world that we're coming for you, and that these students are going to be the ones that will be your bosses and CEOs and people that are going to be running companies in the 21st century.
I've been teaching for over 33 years, and I have only ever taught students with learning differences. I think I can relate to the kids because I could feel what they're going through. I'm still in awe as to how it's still stigmatized in some ways. Kids are made to feel stupid when they're actually the problem solvers of the world. Brilliant, creative, amazing. And it's the reason why I love teaching here, because I'm with my people.
Just had to turn my headphones back on there. So I really love that video. It's sort of a part of a longer video that Foreman has, but I really love it because I think it really speaks to the essence of Foreman and sort of this approach and what we're trying to do here with Ingenuity here as well. You know, you can see sometimes within a more classical, traditional school setting, students with learning differences may experience certain challenges there or hindrances and obstacles because that environment is not set up well to really play to the incredible strengths that they bring to the table. And so if you take that student and drop them into a new environment, such as Foreman, such as Ingenuity Year, you just get into this environment where you're able to see it from a new perspective and start tapping into some of those really incredible strengths that you bring and just understanding what some of the challenges are and how to engage with them and how to really manifest them in different ways. And so it's this really powerful shift of perspective and alignment that can come from just adapting into a new environment, becoming an environment that's more adapted to where you're coming from. So this is that side of that coin, this learning difference background side of the coin. And then the other side of the coin, as I was alluding to earlier, is experiential education. And this is all my background. That's what I've been doing for my whole career for about 15 years at this point. So I started out as a program leader. I was working directly on the ground with students for about 5 years with a variety of different companies. I worked with high school students and gap year students and college students. And then I went on to direct and found a couple of companies before coming to Ingenuity Year. But these two backgrounds brings us to a really, really simple equation to understand Ingenuity Year. We are learning differences and experiential ed. It's these 2 points that are coming together into our programming that we create and that we present. A couple more people that I really want to highlight. So these are our program leaders. These are the staff that were just on our program for this fall program. Really, really great individuals here with a variety of different backgrounds. So on the left, we have Jonah, who is sort of a outdoor educator background, sort of camp counselor, tripping, wilderness tripping, that type of stuff. Jordan in the middle has a marine biology background. She's got an MA in biological sciences. And then Ellie on the right is a science teacher. And so they both brought very different perspectives, but really great overlapping skill set into our programming here. And then one more person I wanted to showcase is our executive functioning coach. So we are the only GAP program that I know of that actually includes executive functioning coaching as part of the program. Dr. Warsoff here is a really great fit for us because she is both a PhD in applied developmental psychology. And then she's also been in the experiential ed side of things. So she's worked in the gap year space for a number of years as well. And so she really engages with both of these worlds in a really nice way. And she's been really lovely to have on board. So that's a little bit of the context. That's some of the background for some of our programming here. Now, speaking more directly to our current program, Climate Change in Coastal Maine. This is a very experiential, reflective, and transitional space. And it's a space that has been very intentionally crafted to help with this transition in between high school or secondary school into post-secondary, whether that is college or work or continued exploration. The program is intellectual in nature. We're engaging with climate change, but it's not academic. So there's no homeworks or assignments or tests, anything like that. So you're trying to remove a lot of those stressors that are there. And it's really an opportunity to get outside of the classroom, to reconnect your joy and your spark for learning, and to learn in more of an applied real world hands-on setting. And so within this, we have these two big focal points, one of personal growth, which is the overall focal point, and then within that, climate change. And so I'll speak to both of these as well, starting off with climate change. So this is one of, if not the most pressing issue of our time, as we are seeing more and more almost on a daily basis. Climate change is global, so it's an incredibly huge, complex and complicated challenge that needs a lot of people and parties, actors, organizations, governments to really come together to be able to solve it. So what we do on our program is we look at this global phenomenon through the lens of coastal Maine. And again, very experiential in nature. So what is seen and heard, felt, tasted, touched, experienced in that area. And I'm going to show you again a really quick video from the state of Maine that speaks to some of the challenges that are going on there. So give me 1 second.
If you haven't felt the effects of climate change, you will.
It's changing the entire planet Earth. We live in a tiny place called Maine.
The natural resources that we have are what make Maine Maine.
We live off it. We're fishermen, we're farmers, we're foresters.
Who doesn't want to have a job where you can see this every day?
A lot of people see climate change as like, oh, this is, a problem for the next generation.
It is not a problem of tomorrow, it is a problem of today.
It has the impact of changing life as we know it.
When I was a kid, this might have happened once every 10 years. Now you can pretty much count on it happening every year.
We're seeing water on sections of roads that we hadn't seen before.
Drought, erratic frost dates, more extreme storms.
The ski season's changing, ice fishing season's changing. All those things are changing right now.
The thing about climate change is that it is directly threatening the things that we love about Maine.
Okay, just turning my headphones back on here. Okay, so a couple of quick takeaways again. One is that this is incredibly multifaceted and impacts almost everything from agriculture to recreation to the very sort of cultural fabric that makes up Maine. So there's a whole bunch of different perspectives to be able to explore this phenomena of climate change. And then second is Maine is really, really connected into the environment. More so than a lot of states in the US. It's very deeply connected to the land through a whole bunch of farming, forestry, agricultural practices that they're doing there, and really, really connected to the ocean through all the industries that engage with that. And so it's a really ripe location to be able to do this exploration. And lastly, the Gulf of Maine, the body of water there, is actually warming faster than 99.9% of the ocean. So it's one of the fastest warming bodies of water in the ocean, or areas of the ocean. And it's happening for a variety of different reasons. But what it means is that there are a lot of changes that are happening there much more quickly than in other locations. So again, it's a ripe location to be able to check out what is going on there and see it firsthand. So a little bit more specifically about how we engage with this in the program. First, we start out with some foundations. We'll talk about this within the global context. We'll then zoom in and talk about it specifically related to Maine, and through that establish some key points and questions that we'll come back to throughout the rest of the program. And then the real meat of it is really engaging with these real challenges facing real communities. So looking at lobstering, looking at fishing, looking at farming, looking at what's happening with communities, as well as the policy and governance that helps with some of these changes that are going on. And for all of this, we're really engaging it with, again, very experiential. And so the majority of this is through hands-on projects that we have with a whole bunch of different partners up and down the coast. So a couple of these projects, lobster pots, so actually sinking down lobster pots, go on lobster boats, sinking down lobster pots in the ocean, from that collecting data, so temperature and pH of that. We're doing some soft shell clam research, weather station monitoring, tidal marsh restoration and monitoring, jellyfish survey, a couple of biological surveys looking at newly purchased land and some of the land trusts up there. And so this is just a small collection of some of the projects that we're doing. A couple of cool things with some of these projects is that we're not just doing them to do them. These are part of longer term active projects that are part of our partners' missions. And so the data that we collect is actually poured into these ongoing projects. And so it's actively contributing to climate change research, which is pretty cool. And these are a couple of the partners that we have up there as well. And there's a couple more than this, but that's all that fit on the slide. Okay, so that's the climate change side of things in a nutshell. And now I'll switch gears and talk more broadly about personal growth that undergirds this whole project, this whole program. Within this, we sort of have these two big areas of reflection. First, who are you as a person? And then who are you as a learner? So as a person, really, like, what makes you tick, what excites you, what makes you want to jump out of the bed in the morning. It's really an opportunity to cut through a lot of the noise of society, friends and family, social media, and really sort of tap in and listen to your own voice and what's going on there. And then as a learner, if you do have a diagnosis, what does it actually mean? Not just on a piece of paper or in a classroom setting, but out there in the world, how does that actually manifest? What are some of the really great strengths that come along with that? And what are some of the challenges associated with that? We use assistive technology, so that's sort of just baked in the program from the beginning. And then, as I mentioned before, executive functioning coaching is a big aspect of this side of the program. And so with these two areas of reflection, we take them into what I like to call the playground, which is in essence just the program. But I really like this term of playground because it speaks to this opportunity to let go of fear, to let go of anxiety, to let go of these ideas of success and failure, and just play and experiment and have fun and really see what works for you, see what resonates with you and what doesn't. And so it's this more safe place to be able to do some of these explorations as opposed to something like college where there are grades to take into account or jobs where there's a lot of responsibility there. And so within this playground of our program, we've got these different elements to be able to engage with. One is the climate change projects that I was just talking about. Then we also have the capstone project. So this would be individually selected by each student and worked on throughout the course of the semester. The goal of being able to sort of tap into, again, something that you're really excited about or passionate about and sort of see that project through to the end. We also have cooking as a component of the program. So I'm learning sort of the nitty gritties of doing that. Communal living is not up here, but that's also a really big part of it. We're living very close to each other for the duration of the program. We also have student-led expedition. So for 1 week of the program, the students are deciding what they want to do. So it's a completely blank week and they're able to fill that in. And that's something that we're working up to again throughout the course of the program. And then one last note here, sort of the whole progression over the course of this program is from this more guided and supportive container in the beginning towards increasing independence as the program goes on. And some of the outcomes from the program, this alludes to one of my descriptions for this, which is a good way to think of Ingenuity as this gap plus experience, or gap and experience. Gap year in general is a great field, and they do a lot of really good things well. So the top sort of outcomes up here, you can see sort of supportive space for exploration and inquiry, increased knowledge, increased confidence, increased independence. You'll see that on a lot of gap programs, and they'll do that well. We do that under Ingenuity year, and we also do a bit of above and beyond that, so a bit broader and a bit deeper as well, more focused specifically on these learning differences side of things. So we're working on the ability and practice of self-advocacy paired with knowledge of self. So what do you need? What do you need for support? And then practice and being able to ask for that and be okay with asking for that. Really developing more of a skill set for post-secondary life, working on executive functioning skills. And then one very concrete outcome is this transitional plan, which is co-created by the student and the executive functioning coach, which is sort of looking back over the course of the program, looking at all the skills that were developed, and then figuring out how those might be applied in this next step of the student, whether that is college or a job or another gap program. Okay, so talking a little bit more about the specifics here, our home base for the program is Camp Wavis, which is a really beautiful summer camp, sort of mid-coast Maine on Lake Dharmascata. So you'd stay in heated cabins there. As I mentioned, it's right on a lake. It's a little peninsula, comes down into the lake. It's really gorgeous, perfect campus. It's a really great location to be for the fall in Maine. So this is home base. We're here for the duration of the program. We'll leave a lot of days to be able to do projects or activities. And then there are several multi-day trips away from here. For example, the student orientation, student-led, but we'll be coming back to this location throughout the course of the program. There's also a ton of activities that we do on the program. Really briefly, canoeing the St. Croix. So this is for fall semesters. This is the orientation trip. So this is the boundary between US and Canada. So we spent about 5 days canoeing that river. A lot of opportunities to see wildlife. We are camping for various portions of the program for about 14 days. There's a lot of parks to be able to explore. This photo is Acadia National Park, which is a great location for the student-led expedition. We're volunteering at some farms. A lot of lighthouses to explore up and down the coast. The coast in general is just absolutely gorgeous. And then I had to throw in some ice cream there at the end. Okay, great. So here's a really quick look at some of the geography here. So right here, this is Camp Wavis. That's our home base there. These little buildings are some of our partners up and down the coast. And then here is that St. Croix expedition up there. More details for you. So our programs are 10 weeks long. We have one in the fall, one in the spring. So we will not have a spring program upcoming. So spring 2023, we will not have one, but we will have fall, next fall, and then the spring after that. So the start and end location is Portland. So you'd get to Portland and then we connect with everybody, do the whole program, and then you depart from Portland again at the end. We have a group of up to 15 students aged 17 to 21. With a 5-to-1 staff ratio, so 2 to 3 program leaders, and then the executive function coach. So the coach will actually meet the students at the beginning during orientation at Wavis in Maine, and then we'll be connecting with them virtually over the course of the program for about an hour each week. The price is $16,500, which includes everything on the program. We're also working on being able to provide some financial aid. I'm not sure if it'll be in place for this upcoming fall, but hopefully sometime soon after that, if not then. And then, as I mentioned, with the accommodations, most of that is at Camp Wavis, which is those heated bunked cabins, and then some camping. And then the meals are sort of a mixture of student prepared, staff prepared, some coming from Wavis, and then also eating out at diners, restaurants along the way. So if you are interested in applying, it's a relatively straightforward application. So first you go online to our website, access the online application portion. That's sort of step one. Once you've done that, there's a couple of supplementary documents that we ask you to submit. And then after that, you'd have an interview with the admissions team. And that's sort of the whole application package. Once that's all done, then we'd make decisions which are made on a rolling basis. In terms of some deadlines for applying, the priority deadline for this coming fall would be in April, and then the regular deadline is in June. And the difference between these two is that for the priority, we can basically guarantee that spots are available on the program. For the regular deadline, we're not sure if they will be available or not. So this past fall, we did fill up. So yeah, if you're interested, either get in touch with us or we encourage you to apply sooner rather than later. Okay, that is it from me. I'm going to go back to this slide because I know there's a lot of information on here. And then we have time for questions if anybody has them. And we have one question here, just sharing the intro video. Yes, I will. This is being recorded currently, and I'll share this with you once we get it processed, which should be hopefully sometime tomorrow. Don't see any coming in quite yet. One question that we frequently get asked is about technology and what our policies around technology are. So we allow technology on the program. We use it as many aspects of the program. So phones and laptops, iPads, that type of thing are all allowed. You'll be utilizing them most likely for the capstone project, depending what the student chooses to do. And then we also use them for aspects of some of these research projects that we're doing with the climate change side of things. We do have also periods that are more or less technology free. So during the student orientation, during the St. Croix trip, phones, there's no phone service. You're basically without your phone for about 5 days. We have some meal or phone-free meals where we're engaging with people and just stepping away from those distractions and those technological devices for that time. But then besides that, technology is just allowed on the program. All right, one more call here. You guys are giving me a pretty easy evening. If you do have any questions that come up after this as well, feel free to reach out via email. I'll be connecting with you tomorrow to share this recording. I have a question about stories. I'm not sure exactly what you mean. If you could expound on that a little bit, that would help me. Okay, great. Yeah. Just a question on these stories or interesting anecdotes to get to the flavor of what we've seen. One thing I think that I will share, and I think some of the power of these types of experiences is it can be so powerful to be in a group of peers that are really going through the same thing that you're going through. So again, for a lot of these students, if you've been in, quote unquote, normal schooling environments, you are a bit of an outlier at times or a lot of the time. And here you're not. Everyone is here and everyone is really going through the same thing. And so I think some of the magic of this program is just that, is really having this space where you are completely normal and everyone there is on the same page. And I think for some students, that's the first time they've been in an environment like that. And it can be really, really powerful. And so that's one thing to share. Another question, if we'll have a session where a previous student shares their experience. Great question. I'm not sure. So right now we don't have anything like that scheduled or planned. But if that does come up, we will let you know. I'll make sure we reach out to you and email you to let you know. Also along those lines, even if we don't have something scheduled, if you do have specific questions and you'd like to connect with the previous student or previous family or parents that have done the program previously, you can let us know and we can work on making that connection. Okay, great. One last call. Any other questions here? I don't think so. It looks like we're good to go. All right. Thanks, everybody. I hope you have a great rest of your evening, and I'll be in touch soon with the recording of this. Thanks. Bye-bye.